Welcome back to V.E.K.S, where military history is made exciting. The ancient Greeks developed one of the most formidable military systems the world had ever seen, a method of warfare that would allow them to dominate the Mediterranean for centuries. At the heart of this system was the Phalanx, a tightly packed, almost impenetrable wall of soldiers moving in unison like a human tank. Each man in the Phalanx was typically a hoplite, named after the massive round shield called the hoplon, which was slung over his left arm. These shields didn't just protect the individual soldier. They overlapped with the shield of the man to the left, creating a seamless barrier of bronze and wood. This meant that each hoplite's right side was exposed and vulnerable, so armies often placed their best and bravest fighters on the rightmost flank. It was a dangerous honor, a prestigious place on the line where the fighting was fiercest and death most certain. The hoplon itself was a heavy piece of craftsmanship, usually constructed from layered wood and faced with bronze or hardened leather, and beautifully and often uniquely decorated. The hoplites were walking fortresses, clad in bronze helmets, breastplates and greaves that protected their shins. Beneath the armor, the air would grow suffocating and stifling, sweat pooling beneath the helm, vision narrowed to a slit, the roar of battle thundering in their ears. Each hoplite carried a long spear, the dory, typically held in an overhand, gripped so it could thrust downward with deadly precision. Behind that spear was a line of spears and another. The phalanx was usually 8 men deep, with each successive rank angling their weapons past the shoulders of the men in front. The result was a terrifying forest of spear points, jutting forward like a wall of death. To charge such a formation, head-on was to invite impalement, skewered like wild animals on a pike. Battles between phalanxes often became brutal, grinding pushes. When two formations collided, the front ranks would crash together with a deafening clatter, bronze on bronze, shield on shield, and the real horror would begin. Spears would thrust blindly into the gaps. Screaming men would be dragged down and trampled underfoot, crushed between the unyielding shields of comrades and enemies alike. Blood slicked the earth. Broken spears and shattered teeth littered the ground. The dead and dying formed grisly obstacles beneath the feet of the living. To simply lose your balance in this moment and fall would mean your death. Because the phalanx was so powerful head-on, the usual tactic was to outflank it, to strike at the sides where its spears could not reach. However, turning such a formation was incredibly difficult, especially once it was engaged. A phalanx committed to a frontal push could not easily pivot. If hit from the side or rear, the entire block could collapse in chaos and slaughter. To mitigate this vulnerability, armies would link phalanxes side by side, forming a continuous line of shields and spears, protecting your own flanks while seeking. To break the line of the enemy became the essence of ancient battlefield strategy, a concept that would echo through military doctrine for thousands of years to come. Beyond the heavy infantry, Greek armies employed peltasts, lightly armed skirmishers, who served as both harassers and a screen for the phalanx. These men were usually drawn from the poorer classes and lacked the means for heavy armor or fine weapons. They wore little more than a tunic and carried javelins, slings, or bows, using hit-and-run tactics to weaken enemy formations before the main clash. Agile and expendable, they darted between the lines, their role vital yet often deadly. If caught in open ground, these lightly clad men could be slaughtered en masse, their corpses left strewn like broken dolls across the battlefield. Another, often overlooked element of Greek warfare was the cavalry. Greece's rugged, mountainous terrain made it difficult to breed or train large numbers of horses, so cavalry units were typically small and composed of wealthy citizens who could afford such luxuries. These riders were tasked with protecting the phalanx's flanks or exploiting those of the enemy. Some were heavily armored shock cavalry, armed with spears and swords for direct charges, while others fought as light horsemen, flinging javelins before vanishing into the hills. Though never the dominant force in Greek warfare, their role could be decisive in a battle's final chaotic moments. The flat plains of Thessaly, in the far north of Greece, was an exception. The various factions that held a piece of this land bred excellent horses and produced the finest cavalry of all Greek states. The Greek phalanx was not just a tactic, it was a way of life. Virtually all free male citizens were trained to fight in these formations, embodying the ideal of the citizen soldier. The discipline, courage, and unity required to stand shoulder to shoulder in the face of death made the phalanx more than a military formation. It was a symbol of Greek strength and a brutal reminder that in war survival often depended not on individual glory, but on the unbreakable strength of the line. In time, the neighbors and rivals of the Greek cities would adopt the phalanx as well, at least for a time. Among them were the early Romans, Carthaginians, and most famously the Macedonians, who enhanced and arguably perfected the formation. More on these cultures later. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. Be sure to let us know what you would like to see next. We do these videos for you, our beloved viewers. Until next time.